So I don't really like this hand, but I think it's a little bit above the mulligan bar. Um, Not too far though. It's if I had a second black, I would be all over it. But the fact that I'm like looking to draw another land to turn on this Bio Blight, I feel like my deck can do better than this. I think this is better for a 6 with the Scry. Opponent's probably some kind of mono red deck. Oh, red white? Okay, that's fine. Or Jeskai. There's just so much mono red on Magic Online. Jeez. That's a lot of lands in a row that I need to get rid of. Watch, this is Rival Master, my top card is Utter End, and I get punished for this. Just making sure I didn't misclick. I don't really feel like... yeah, I could probably afford that one as an answer to Rival Master here. If there's a second Rival Master... Like, this is why this card's good, is because if your opponent stumbles a little bit, this card just ends the game. Yeah. Okay. My opponent's not really doing a lot here, which is okay by me. Sure. It's a little problematic. Got better. Because it doesn't really matter what land I play here. Hopefully my opponent's playing the Ben S-ish build. I guess I'm probably going to get wrecked by Stoke the Flames here anyways. Not technically dead to it, but dead to it plus basically any follow-up if I have to play Elspeth next turn. I do like how these creatures really put me in a game. Like, I don't really like Abzan Charm in this matchup, but the creatures I have in my deck really keep me in a game against, like, if I'm going to board out the Abzan Charms, at least they keep me in the game without just getting, you know, buried alive under a card advantage setup. So Storm Breath, okay. That probably is enough to just win the game here if I don't rip my one outer. I did not rip my one outer. Because I can't make enough blockers for the goblins and the Storm Breath. That first hand was oddly okay there, but I don't think you can do that. So this is one of the better cards here. I definitely want the Murderous Cut. I'm not sold on End Hostilities. I do not want Mastery. Not sold on Whisperwood here, honestly. I'm going to board out like 2 Abzan Charms to start. 1 Thoughtseize. I still want a couple of that effect, but I don't want a ton. Utter End is kind of mediocre, but probably good enough against all of the random enchantments that I'm assuming my opponent has. The question is if I want the second. I definitely want this. I don't know why that is not hanging out closer to my deck. The question is if I want this, or this. I don't think I want to Read the Bones. Courser's great. This is definitely getting in the deck. I think Elspeth's just too good to cut here. I think Whisperwood is also very good. Probably just cut the other end. Third Drown might be a little much, but I'm not super opposed to it because I think I can pressure Planeswalkers reasonably. I think maybe just hang out on these options. Like, I don't... This is mainly as an option to kill Stormbreath. It doesn't kill Sarkhan, and a lot of the time I feel like my plan is going to be aggressive against my opponent. That was just how I always handled these juke plans of going from, you know, aggro to aggro mid-range-ish. Just beat them with Rhinos. Just skimp on the erases. Like, it's too easy to get stranded with those against Rabble Master. This is actually just like the only card that I'm debating if I want, but I don't even think I do. I think I'd rather have Whisperwood because it immediately punishes my opponent if they do not kill it. Just by existing, you know. Whereas Tassiger gives my opponent an untap to kill it or not. I guess the efficiency on that card might make up for it, but we'll see. This hand's fine. Obviously, we better with a white source. It's possible my mana's a little bit off because I noticed that with hand. I do not want that. As awkward as that is to ship. Let's see how many white sources are in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Possible I want other Caves of Koilos over a Forest or Llanowar Waste. Probably Llanowar Waste. Yeah, that seems definitely right. I'm fine Bioblading next turn. Assuming my opponent gives me a target. And I let my opponent say that they're not playing a Rebel Master before deciding to Bioblight. Or an Outburst. I would much rather Bioblight that. Yeah. This card doesn't concern me too much. Courser of Grufix. Did we hit? We did not hit. That's unfortunate. Sure. I don't really have an option besides make the same play. I can't really afford to use a downfall on a Seeker of the Way. It's a lot of Whisperwoods. Okay. I will play that game all day long. Gain your 3 life if you would like to. Untap land? Tapped land. Okie dokie. Let's lead on this basically non-optional play. So it's Siege, Stoke, Seeker. I think I have to take the Stoke because my plan is to take over with a Whisperwood. Then I play this. Do I want to draw Siege Rhino next turn? I feel like the answer has to be yes. I don't think I want to attack, though. Yeah, I want to presumably have that happen. So stance is going to kill my... See, at this point, I've kind of committed to a line where... What is destroying? Yeah, okay, just checking. My opponent has drawn a card. I guess I should have waited instead of getting F6 value in case my opponent hit Rabble Master as their draw step. Should be a bit of a beating. But it's probably okay here, because this card should be reasonably good at taking over the game. What do we got? It's not the best. Temple of Do Nothing. Okay. Not quite an Elspeth, but does some good work. Is this beginning of upkeep on this card, or is it draw step? Beginning of upkeep. So my opponent is debating on which card they want to exile with the siege next turn. And they chose... It's another siege, yeah. What did they choose? They chose bottom. Okay, I like that. I don't know their unknown card. So, it is what it is. This is probably... So, if my opponent chooses dragons, I'm just taking the 3 and playing another elemental and just shoving for a ton. I think 11 is safe. Yeah, I think with a little bit of positioning, this card does enough work here. Takes a little bit, but... Okay, well, if that's the case... Trade offered? My opponent's last card's almost surely another land. Just based... or another outpost siege, just based on how mana usage was last turn. Lightning Strike, and is that another Lightning Strike? Oh, Valor Stance? Okay. That's fine. Yep. Not going to sacrifice my creature. And I think I can afford to take the 7 on this Seeker hit here. Or the presumed 7. Especially with a Rhino in hand. Like, it's up to 7, let's rephrase, because if my opponent strikes me there. Yeah, if I draw a land, I get to go Rhino Fleecemane, which is pretty backbreaking. So 1 second, I'm going to add the total notes to things I should change about this list real fast. Also worth noting, the reason that I have Mastery Main instead of Nissa is that Mastery... Nissa's basically a 6-drop, kind of a fragile one at that. Not a huge fan of it. And... like, being a fragile 6-drop is just a problem. And Mastery, I think, is a little bit more flexible. Not a ton, but enough. What are my manifests? I don't even know. A Drown and Sorrow and a Corsair. Okay, good. You can also flip and play Lion, but that's probably just worse than Rhinoing. The unmanifests in this deck are bad, but I think the unmanifests in this format in general are just not very exceptional. Except for another Whisperwood, which is kind of the dream. So our opponent has just played the presumed extra land that was in hand. I just straight up take this, I think. Yeah, maybe I should have chumped, actually. I'm just like, my math didn't really account for top deck Stormbrass off the double siege. Yeah, I think I deal enough cast. I probably should have just chumped with the Drown in Sorrow Manifest. My opponent's now debating whether to strike me or a token, or a manifest. Okay, this makes things not very interesting. I just go with the Rhino play that I mentioned. Black, white, it's what? It's R click, control click. It's control click, and it adds the first one. Right? There's some shortcut that does this, where you just add whatever the first color of mana is to your mana pool. Green, white. Yep, opponent is dead. Okay, Whisperwood was quite nice there. Not sure End Hostilities is actually good. Kind of feels like that's not what I want to be doing here. It's very possible I just don't even want the card in my main deck at all. Just kind of a remnant of the old control list. Yeah, there's like no way my opponent has anything that keeps them in the game. I think Drown is okay because it's an important early effect to have against like a Rabble Master or Outburst, but I think Hostilities hits at a point where you should already be in relative control. Thoughtseize is probably even worse than yeah, it's probably fine. You can take out a Siege. Probably board up a Thoughtseize. Board up a Tasigur, maybe. Not a huge Tasigur fan in this matchup. Okay, our opponent finally made a play. Sarkhan that doesn't really do anything. Yeah. Okay. Does that change anything? So my opponent gets to block these two, and okay, is not dead on board. Right? It's Seeker on Whisperwood, Ash Cloud on Fleecemane, and only takes 12. Okay. So what is my line? So I can kill the Ash Cloud and go to 1 potentially. It's actually a really weird board state. So my turn has to involve flipping this Manifest. It has to involve killing the Sarkhan. It has to involve my opponent not hitting a burn spell. Trying to figure out what else it has to involve. I think Rhino, Fleecemane, Manifest at the Sarkhan. I don't really want to get the Whisperwood into combat this turn. So I think I actually just flip up the cursor first main in case my opponent blocks correctly and I would just lose it, which would be bad. Okay. So I think this definitely attacks Sarkhan. What if I just shove these dorks? So let's think about this. Do I need to shove this? So it's 3, 5. So this is 5 guaranteed getting in on the Sarkhan, which is what I need. And this can attack my opponent. This can also attack my opponent. And I think Whisperwood hangs back, because otherwise my opponent can just put the Ash Cloud in front of it and kill me with the Seeker. Can my opponent just no block in this case? I don't think they can. If my opponent just no blocks, it's actually fine by me. I have 2 blockers back. Maybe I leave back a 3rd blocker in this case, and we'd be the Lion. Nice. Plays around double removal spell. How much damage does this deal to my opponent? Those two, it's less damage. So this is the right attack, I think. I could leave back this extra Manifest or the Lion. It's definitely leave back the Lion of either of them. Is this right? And this just goes here. And now I want to attack my opponent with the Lion and just get the most out of it here. I don't think it adds additional damage next turn. This kills the Sarkhan, though, right? Again, block, block. Each of those soaks up 2 and the Sarkhan dies. I think this has to be the attack, unless I want to play around another removal, 2 removal spells in my opponent's top 3 cards, and they can't be burn spells, so it has to be Valor Stance. That my opponent would take 0 damage in that case, but be facing down a Rhino. I would have. I think I have to get in the damage here. And like, if I lose, I lose. Okay, I beat that. And I died at that. Okay. Just dead. Okay, I'd have to really think through that one again and figure out if there was something I could have done to beat a Storm Breath, but I don't really feel like there was. Maybe I'm supposed to not flip the Courser first main and hope my opponent guesses wrong on the Manifest. So that yeah, if they guess wrong on the Manifest, they might be more inclined to block with the Phoenix because they think the 6 is enough. Then I'd flip the Courser and then gain a life off the land. Now my opponent's trying to figure out if they should play around a Downfall in any way. I feel like they eventually have to figure out that the answer is no. Yeah, I think chumping all of those, or not chumping all those turns ago actually cost me this game.